Hi, warm SBR Sports Picks. We are the Odds Couple. Mike Brenner. I'm Peter Loshak. The NBA playoffs are starting this week, and we're going to get some early thoughts on a couple of the opening matchups with Joe Gavazzi from JoeGavazziSports.com. The first game we're going to look at is Game 1 between Memphis and the Spurs. Now, we don't have any, obviously, opening lines for Game 1 yet, but we know that this is a rematch of last year's opening round series where the Spurs absolutely dominated Memphis. They swept them in 4 games. They were a double-digit favorite in all 4 of the games, and they covered 3 of those spreads, Mike Brenner. And also the first 3 games also went under, even though they all had modest totals in the 180s. Game 4 did go over, but the point is the Spurs absolutely dominated. The first 2 games at home, they were a 17-point favorite and covered both of those. Do you think we're going to see anything different this year? What do you think?
I don't think they're going to cover like that this year. It's a different team. It's a different Spurs team, a different dynamic, and not that Memphis hasn't knocked it. You know, they're not just knocking down anybody by getting their attention by playing spectacular ball. But I have just really noticed this year the pattern with San Antonio, and it just shows me that Tim Duncan's leadership, whether he was putting the ball in the hoop or if he was on the sidelines, went a long way last year. They've lost that. They've lost that edge. Can they get it? Yeah, but I don't think that LaMarcus Aldridge has not stepped up to been that leader that they thought he was. Pete, I think this series might be a little closer. I think the lines are going to be a little tight than people may think also. And I was going to ask you, if you had to look into that crystal ball, what do you think this line might just step out at from Game 1? Oh,
God. Well, I mean, last year the line was Spurs were a 17-point favorite in both of those games.
See, that's ridiculous. I don't even think there should be a double digit.
But they won both those games by an average of 30 points.
That's amazing. That blows my mind. God, that blows my mind.
In retrospect, those 2 opening spreads of minus 17 were 10 points too low.
Jesus, wow.
Well, let's go to the expert, Joe Gavazzi from JoeGavazziSports.com.
You're serious, too.
What?
You were dead serious about that spread. Those spreads.
Those were the spreads. Last year they were a 17-point favorite in each of the first 2 games, and they won each of those games by an average of 30 points. The first game they won by 32.
That's mind-blowing.
The second game I think they won it by about 28 or 26 or something like that.
That's
Joe Gavazzi, what do you think we can expect from the rematch this year?
Well, first of all, if you guys recall, that was a battered and bruised Memphis team and a high-flying San Antonio team at the time. Those playoffs, a reason for those inflated lines. But let's take a look back at those 2016 NBA playoffs and just do a little bit of a backdrop here. Do you know that home favorites in the NBA playoffs last year were a phenomenal 39-21? They just kept covering the spread. And unders were a remarkable 54-33. So it was home chalk and under in the NBA playoffs last year. Now, that's not necessarily predictive what's going to happen this year, but an interesting thing to look at, considering how once a point spread pattern begins to develop, it can continue through a relatively short period of games like the 80 to 90 games of the NBA playoffs. Now, each of these teams, as they close down the regular season, are a bit cold. Memphis has won only one of their most recent 5 games entering the Wednesday night finale, and the Spurs dropping 3 straight as they finish the season as underdog at Utah. So each of these teams will be looking to turn it around Wednesday night. Regardless of what happens in that game, I believe the Spurs will be an 8 to 10-point favorite, and I'll be looking to lay the number with San Antonio in this game. The 4 games in this series were all covered by Memphis, and San Antonio did not score more than 97 points in any game, leading to the pattern of unders we spoke about both in the series last year as well as how the entire playoffs played out. But from a technical perspective, we must note that in Game 1 of Round 1 of the NBA playoffs, teams who have 10 or more wins than their opponent against a sub-560 opponent, and the line is in this point spread range, have been an over 75% play over the years. That's in Game 1 only. I'm going to back that angle here and take a ride with the San Antonio Spurs in the first game.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't implying that I thought that this spread will be 17, but I was implying that the Spurs just tend to be a great bet in their opening home games. And 2 years ago, the Spurs were in their opening game against Clippers, which is Game 3 of the series. They were a 5-point home favorite in that one, won it by 28. Yeah, so they way outperformed
that
their
unbelievable.
Opening,
well, you got a memory.
Their opening opening round games at home. Popovich has a way of getting them prepared that the market doesn't really anticipate. They're a really strong team. All right, Joe Gavazzi from something to think about when Mike Brenner and I dive in, head first into the NBA playoffs, which we're both looking forward to. Joe Gavazzi from JoeGavazziSports.com. Thanks so much, and tell us about your website for people who want to know more.
It is JoeGavazziSports.com, sporting news that you can use every day, along with free plays most days. Check out my biography to learn a little bit more about me at JoeGavazziSports.com.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Let's cash those NBA tickets, buddy.
Well, this episode of The Odds Couple is over. But if you give us a like and click SBR's logo at the bottom of the screen to subscribe, then you'll get all the upcoming videos as soon as they come out. And don't forget to take advantage of our website. There's free picks, live betting lines, and sportsbook reviews and ratings guides, and a whole lot more. Check it out now.